So with Chapter 5 Season 4 coming to a close in about a month or so, we will have had 2 completely dedicated seasons to just Marvel, and with that comes a whole load of Marvel items. And in this video, we are going to take a look back at some of the best Marvel items of all time. Before we get into it, let me get into a couple caveats here. There are going to be no medallions, right? So no reveal medallion, no siphon medallion, right? Technically, they have the Marvel characters' names on them, Emma Frost and Doctor Doom, but they are not Marvel weapons. It's the same thing for like the Emma Frost Striker Burst AR or Doctor Doom's Monarch Pistol. Those are not Marvel weapons. They're just regular weapons in the game, but with the Marvel name strapped onto them. With all that being said, be sure to use code TYFRYZ in the Fortnite item shop to support my channel. And yeah, let's get right into this. So right away, I'm just going to get the obvious one out of the way. Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet. You knew it had to be on here. I actually typically don't rank this item in a lot of my ranking videos because honestly, I swear like half the people in my comment section say that, oh, it's way too strong to be ranked in any video. And the other half say, you know what? It was in the Battle Royale playlist, so therefore it should be counted. But since we are talking about Marvel items, it only feels right to chuck Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet up here. And I guess this would be a good time now to say that there are no LTM exclusives on this list. So I know there's been a ton of like Avengers LTMs. Yeah, none of that is going to be in here. But look, as I said earlier, the Infinity Gauntlet was meant to be insanely strong. It was meant to just absolutely break the game. If you got it, you were almost like a guaranteed win. It's almost like how we've seen with Doctor Doom and his current Armor of Doom. So yeah, if you wanted to throw the Armor of Doom in here with Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, I think absolutely you could do that. That is fair game. Just what an unreal item. I don't really have much else to say about it. You guys all know how strong it was, so yeah, I'll leave it at that. Next is an item actually not from Chapter 2 Season 4 or Chapter 5 Season 4. It's actually Chapter 3 Season 1 Spider-Man web shooters, and I guess if you want to throw the Spider-Verse web shooters in there, you could do that. They're the exact same item. I literally talk about the Spider-Man web shooters in every single video, in every single mythic, best mythics, best mobility items. Every single video, I somehow end up talking about Spider-Man's web shooters. So I'm going to keep this one really brief because you guys are probably tired of listening to me talk about these same weapons over and over again. But truthfully, one of, if not the best mobility item of all time, one of the most fun items that has ever been in this game. And I think it also sticks out because it wasn't in a defined Marvel season like Chapter 2 Season 4 or Chapter 5 Season 4. But speaking of Chapter 5 Season 4, here is technically our first weapon from that season. It is Iron Man's combat kit and the flight kit. I'm going to throw them in together at one spot. It only makes sense to keep them as one spot. I mean, to be honest with you, most players I see are using them together in tandem with one another instead of using them separately. But let's talk about the combat kit, right? Of course, you get the Iron Man Repulsor Gauntlet and you get his Unibeam. So they took both the mythics from Chapter 2 Season 4, put them in one, and yeah, there is the item. So, I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Obviously, I can't put the Unibeam and Repulsor Gauntlet from Chapter 2 Season 4 on this list because the combat kit has both of them. I mentioned this in one of my recent videos, but I don't play zero build. You guys know that, but I can imagine the combat kit is an absolute nightmare to go up against in zero build. Let me just put it this way. If the combat kit didn't exist, the Unibeam would have been on here. So now that this item does exist, the Unibeam gets booted off and the combat kit gets its spot. And let's talk about the flight kit, right? Essentially, if you remember like Wings of Icarus from Chapter 5 Season 2, you can almost think about it like that. Just shoots you straight up in the air, and I swear you can honestly fly across the map in one use. In terms of just like pure mobility in a vacuum, getting from point A to point B, I think there's an argument that Iron Man's flight kit is the best item ever for that. You also are incredibly difficult to hit in air, especially with non-hit scan weapons that we see in Chapter 5. Shooting somebody while they're dashing right and left and zooming around the map with the flight kit is honestly like nearly impossible. It's not like the Wings of Icarus, right, where those giant wings stuck out and if you shot the wings, it counted as hitting the player. The flight kit has none of that. The main disadvantage, I guess, of using the flight kit is if you do end up getting hit a couple times, you guys know you have that like spiral animation, you go flying to the ground, then you hit the ground, you're kind of stuck there for a little bit. That can kind of hurt you sometimes, but that's what you get, right? You're flying in air, leaving your body vulnerable, so that's the chance you take. But I'll be honest with you, I do think that there is a better mobility item from this current season that we'll talk about later on in this list. Next, let's talk about another current weapon from this season. Let's talk about Doombot's Arcane Gauntlets. And there's a little bit of an asterisk here with this one, because I think the Arcane Gauntlets on their own are not really that good. Like, don't get me wrong, they are really good, but when you are on the same level terrain as somebody else, the Arcane Gauntlets and the Mystical Bomb are kind of useless. Like, it's really hard to hit somebody with the arcane gauntlets when you guys are on the same terrain, but that all changes once you are above somebody. Once you're above somebody, the arcane gauntlets, right, both that and the mystical bomb become unbelievable. So I think once you pair the arcane gauntlets with the jetpack, they become an unreal item, potentially the strongest weapon this season. I think you could honestly probably say the same sentiment about War Machine's arsenal. That item will actually not be on this list, but if you wanted to put War Machine's arsenal with Doombot's arcane gauntlets here in that like kind of category of items that almost kind of require another item to be good, I would totally understand that. Even if you have something like Flowberry Fizz, right? You just fizz yourself for a little bit and then jump up on top of somebody and use the arcane gauntlets. Yeah, they are so strong in that matter. But other than that, I don't know. I think they kind of struggle a little bit. Next, let's take a little trip back to Chapter 2, Season 4, the original Marvel season, of course, and let's talk about Silver Surfer's board. So in terms of the Marvel mobility items, particularly the ones from Chapter 2, Season 4, there aren't a ton of options. It's really Silver Surfer's board or Groot's Bramble Shield, right? I think both are decent in their own right, but I actually think the Silver Surfer's board beats out the Bramble Shield. Silver Surfer's board gave you the ability to literally deploy like almost like a mini launch pad if you think about it. Like the second you press the button to use the Silver Surfer's board, it basically just almost like place a launch pad for you, just send you straight in the air. Obviously, you guys know, didn't physically place anything, but it would just shoot you straight up in the air. You would ride Silver Surfer's board, and the good thing is you could drop anytime you wanted to. And that's massive for a couple reasons, right? Because one, if you were on high ground and you were falling down, you're going to take fall damage, just pop Silver Surfer's board and you are safe. As well as that, it also stops you from getting beamed out of the air, right? As soon as you get hit in the air, just pop the Silver Surfer's board and drop down. It's an infinite mobility item. It just has that little like recharge time, right? While yes, Groot's Bramble Shield does give you the white heals when you use it, and it does protect you for a couple of seconds, you don't really get that far using the Bramble Shield, whereas Silver Surfer's board really can get you out of some tough situations. I feel like this often goes kind of forgotten about as a Marvel item, but I really enjoyed Silver Surfer's board. I kind of wish they actually brought it back during this season. But anyways, let's talk about probably my most controversial choice on this list. It's the Stark Industries rifle. And I have a lot of explaining to do with the Stark Industries rifle, right? Because a couple weeks ago, this would not have been a surprise pick at all. The Stark Industries rifle was a guaranteed best Marvel item, or at least within the top 3. And that's because the last time we saw the Stark Industries rifle was in Chapter 2, Season 4, where, you know, all the pro players were carrying it. It was just an unbelievable assault rifle. But, like, I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but the Stark Industries rifle, as it has come back in Chapter 5, Season 4, in its current form, is kind of trash, actually. And it really has nothing to do with the damage. It's still going to be your big, huge, beefy assault rifle. You hit 2 shots, you are killing somebody, right? But there's really 2 main issues that stick out about the Chapter 5 Season 4 Stark Industries rifle. I think the most obvious one is it is not a hit scan weapon. Obviously, this is something I can't really hold against a Stark Industries rifle since all weapons in Chapter 5 are non-hit scan. But I feel like you just really feel it with the Stark Industries rifle. I think part of that could be because you cannot put attachments on it, so you can't put a scope on it, you can't put any like recoil reducing attachments. At any like kind of mid to long range engagements, the Stark Industries rifle is incredibly difficult to use, and you're probably just better off using the Striker Burst, to be honest with you. And I actually just hinted about my second problem. It's the recoil. They absolutely made the recoil on this weapon out of control. All this is to say, I feel like the Stark Industries rifle in Chapter 5 Season 4, like, it is genuinely difficult to actually hit a shot with the Stark Industries rifle this season. And I think, you know, you could make the argument that's a good thing, right? Because this is a big time, big hitting weapon. But that obviously makes it incredibly difficult for me to rank, because I think the Chapter 5 Season 4 version is not great, but the Chapter 2 Season 4 version is one of the best assault rifles of all time, I would argue. I do think it's deserving on this list, but if you had another choice and you wanted to switch out the Industries rifle with another choice, I think you could make a solid argument for that. And since we're on the topic of kind of controversial choices for this list, let's talk about War Machine's hover jets, again from Chapter 5 Season 4. Yeah, the hover jets kind of seem to be like a really touchy subject to talk about, because I swear there are some people that think this is the best mobility item that's ever been added to Fortnite, and then there are some people that are like, they absolutely need to stop nerfing this thing. They have nerfed it into the ground. It sucks now. And I actually see both sides of the argument. The majority of this season, I think you can make the argument that War Machine's hover jets were a crutch item, one of the most prominent crutch items we've ever seen in Fortnite history. And what I mean by that is you have to have it if you wanted to win a game of Fortnite. It legitimately acted like a crutch, right? You needed to have War Machine's hover jets because the end game was just hover jets, Captain America's shield, people dashing left and right. The fuel on this thing, like it felt like you could use this thing forever. People were finding new exploits, right, to use the least amount of fuel but get you as far as possible, as quickly as possible. But they have continued to just nerf and nerf and nerf these hover jets into the ground this season with a most recent nerf about like a week ago. I think they like increased the amount of fuel that was used on a dash by like 20%, something crazy like that. Funnily enough, I actually saw Ninja in the comment section of a tweet, and his first tweet was the jetpack sucks, get it out of the game. But with all that being said, you might think, well, why are you putting the hover jets on this list, right? Because you just bash them for essentially a minute, right? With all that being said, I do still think War Machine's hover jets are an incredible item. By no stretch of the imagination would I say War Machine's hover jets are the best mobility item we've ever seen, but in terms of combining mobility items with items that you can use in combat, War Machine's hover jets have to be kind of high up there. You still can dash super quickly right and left, making yourself hard to hit. You can almost get instant high ground, you just boost straight up. And paired with like War Machine's arsenal or Captain America's shield or Doombot's arcane gauntlets, and that is still a deadly combo even after all the nerfs. I really do think that the War Machine's hover jets, while not the same that they were when this season came out, do deserve to be on this list. And the final item for this video, you guys know when I do some of these revisiting videos, I like to chuck kind of a wild card in there, a weapon that some of you might not have seen coming. And that item is actually going to be Captain America's shield from Chapter 5, Season 4. Again, another weapon that ultimately really felt like a crutch within the first like week of this season. If you guys remember, the community was going nuts about Captain America's shield, how strong it was. People were like chaining 3 or 4 kills in a row because the Captain America shield just bounces from person to person. I remember seeing multiple 1v4s with literally just Captain America's shield and hover jets, that's it. Now, that did seem like kind of a little bit of an overreaction from the community because as time has gone on, people have found out how to counter people using Captain America's shield, and it's not as good as it was. And as you guys know, I do not play no build, but I can only imagine that Captain America's shield is almost really strong in that game mode. Maybe little flashbacks to something like the ballistic shield from Chapter 5, Season 1 to maybe a little bit of a lesser extent. Captain America's shield is one of those items that, if used correctly, is incredibly good, but I do think it's kind of hard to use it in the right way. I think you easily can get caught up in holding up the shield for too long and getting killed by their teammate, or throwing the shield at the wrong time and leaving your body just kind of hanging out there. But I do think in the right hands, Captain America's shield can be one of the best items in the current season. Well, alright guys, that was my revisitation for some of Fortnite's best Marvel-themed items. If you guys would like to see me revisit some of the worst Marvel weapons in history, I absolutely can do that. Or if you want me to rank every single Marvel item in Fortnite history, that would be a massive video, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would like it, so let me know in the comment section below. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on this ranking, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.